What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another great edition of No Love Philly, the podcast dedicated to artists, activists, musicians, comedians, breweries, basically anybody in, around, or passing through the city of brotherly love that makes this place as awesome as it is. Man, I'm so glad I fucking found this one. So what happened is I got to interview a very fucking badass band, Interminable. And I could not find the interview. It was gone. I didn't know what happened. And as I'm looking through this SD card, I fucking found it. And not only did I find that, but I also found the music, because this is one of the only guests to ever perform on the show. And I'm so fucking glad that I caught it. At first, when I was looking through it, all I found was like just like a little bit clip of them warming up, doing a little rehearsal, which I think you heard in the beginning, or you'll hear next. But you're definitely going to hear the full song at the end. It is fucking dope. They are just a badass group of people, man, that create badass fucking music. Even when I was listening to it right now, I was like, holy shit, that sounds so good. And I really this would be like, I would love, I want somebody to come up with a theme song for this podcast, but there was just something about that was like so magical that just kind of like fit me, and I felt would just be awesome. I don't know, dude. I love them. I really, if you get a chance to check these guys out live, you should. Unfortunately, I am coming to you at a time where they've already played. Today is June 18th. They just played last night at the Waiting Room, and they played June 2nd at Philly Porch Fest. They've done a lot of stuff, man. They're still jamming. They have such awesome jobs too, man. Each person does a different thing. Their story about how they linked up is totally rad. I'm not gonna try to go on anymore. I wish that I had found this earlier. I'm glad that I found it. Period. If you ever hear that this band is on a bill, I strongly recommend that you check it out. It's not going to be a bad time. You're going to love it. There's just something magical about their music, and I'm so thankful that I found this. So without any further ado, here's Interminable. Let's see here. Oh, shit. I forgot to put these on. Just get these in and we can do them.
Yeah, we can do a little test. Huh? Checking.
It's rocking on, man. All right, so we are here.
And roll.
We're here at the fire, and I want to say your name is Interminable, but I probably butchered that. So why don't you go ahead and fix it for me?
I mean, interminable.
Interminable. All right, got you.
That's the word in English, but then it can also be pronounced in Spanish. It's also a word in Spanish. Interminable. I think it's also in French. It's probably in other languages.
Awesome. Let's start off with names and instruments. Are you rocking a PBR and a Tecate? Did I see you with a PBR earlier? Okay, I was like, all right. Let's start with names and instruments.
All right, so my name's Jimena, and I play the jarana, which is a guitar-like instrument from Mexico, and I sing, and sometimes I'll even play electric guitar. This is a cell phone. It plays the ringtone.
Right on.
Hey, what up? My name is John, and I play drums and percussion.
My name is Saint Clair. I play trombone.
My name is Marty Gottlieb Hollis. I play trumpet. And we're also missing another trumpet player, Becca Graham.
Awesome. So, I got to check out some of you guys' music, and hold that right there. So, are you the trumpet player on the first song that's on your website?
I think so.
That is
Consecuencia.
Dude, I got to tell you, that song, like when I heard it, it took me back home, and I was like so happy. And then two, that trumpet is sexy as fuck. When I heard that, I was like, oh, that hit the soul right there, man. So that was just an awesome piece. But when I was reading up on you guys, I heard that it was a chance encounter on the train, and I'm a huge fan of stories. So I want to know, how the hell did you guys link up? What is this story?
Do you want to tell? So me and John actually met on the Broad Street line. I had gotten a gig, and it was like 2 weeks before then, and I didn't have anyone to play with. So I was just reaching out to all the musicians I knew, trying to look for a drummer. Couldn't find one, or couldn't find anyone that had time that was available. And then that week, I also helped give workshops, so jarana, like community workshops in South Philly. So I'm coming home with all these jaranas. And I'll usually get questions from people like, oh, is that a ukulele? Is that a violin or something? So I get on the train and someone's like, oh, is that a violin? And I'm like, no, it's like the 1,000th time that I've gotten asked this. But for whatever reason, I'm like, all right, well, we start talking. And then it turns out that he also played drums, that he's looking for a band to join. And that was John. And we're still collaborating after more than 2 years.
Wow, that's amazing. So you're the one who ran into it. It's like a dance party in here. We're getting the lights flickering. I liked it better the other way. So you're the one who linked up with her, right? And so I mean, okay, so you guys meet and then?
Well, Jimena had a string of shows that she already had an open availability for a drummer for. So, fortunately, I was able to fill that spot, and we've been playing since. And we've been working out and hanging out and making music, having a good time.
Gnarly.
And it's also funny because that week, John also went to like this open mic or something and met a trombone player who was also like super down. So we just rehearsed like every day that we could that week and got that set together. I don't even know how. And that trombone player was St. Clair, who is also here now. Who then left to go back to school, to go on a cruise, to work on a cruise, not just travel. But
that
and
cruise life, just like, yeah, bro, sorry,
life,
I can't play, I gotta go cruise.
But and then this summer came back to Philly and has also been welcomed back into the folds of this project.
So what attracted you to such a unique instrument?
The jarana. So I grew up playing classical violin and some like rock guitar. But then as I got older and studying music in college and everything, I kind of realized that I had never learned much about like music of where I'm from. I'm from Mexico. I was born there. I was born in Mexico City.
Way.
Huh?
No mames, güey.
Sí.
You see? Yeah, yo soy mexicano también.
¿Tú también?
¿Sí?
¿De dónde?
Well, estoy en los Estados Unidos, pero mi abuelitos son de Chihuahua, México.
Ah, de Chihuahua del Norte.
Sí.
Órale, qué bien. Qué bien. Yeah, so I just realized that I had, you don't learn about that stuff. And I started realizing that there's like just so much cultural richness just in every area of Mexico. So I started being interested in that and found that there's a big community of son jarocho, which is the music that the jarana plays, that's more from Veracruz, but there's lots of communities around that now, and there's a big community in New York. So I just started going there and learning and got my first jarana and just went from there. And now, since then, I've helped start up series of workshops here in Philly too.
Dude, that's what's up, man. Congratulations. That's really cool. That's super cool. So then, all right, so on the bus, you meet your drummer, and then you find a trombonist, right? Through the drummer, right? And then, so how did you like link up, or what? How did that happen?
Well, basically, at the time, I think I was in between my junior and senior year in college, and I was going to school in New York. So I was staying with my sister and her roommates in her house over the summer. I was just living here, looking for some playing opportunities, some gigs, just kind of hanging out, college stuff. And then so I went to a jam session at this place called Time, which is on, I guess, 13th and Sansom or something like that. And every Sunday they have like a jazz jam. So I went pretty much every Sunday that summer. And one of the Sundays, John was there. And he started talking to me, because I don't usually talk to people when I go out. So I guess it was lucky that he was talking to me. I was just like, this guy, whatever, like talking to me. And he was like, yeah, do you want to do this thing? I was like, yeah. So that's
wild, dude.
There really not that much thought.
You have to hold that closer. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Not that much thought really went into it. I mean, it was.
Yeah, I guess I'm not doing anything.
He was like, hey, you play an instrument. You want to play an instrument with us? I said, yeah, and so I did, and yeah, it was pretty cool.
So I'm not doing anything but going on a cruise, but yeah, man, whatever.
Yeah,
you
I'm
know,
just going. I'm just cruising.
what were you going to college for?
I went to college for trombone.
Okay,
So,
good.
so I was just
Good thing you
like,
had some experience in this thing,
yeah,
right?
I had played a little bit of trombone
Right.
before then.
Right.
Yeah, a little bit since. So yeah, that was cool. And then I went and finished school, and then was in New York for like a little bit after school, and then I moved to Philly. So now I'm playing with them again.
That's crazy. And then, so how did we get the trumpeter?
As I remember it, the other trumpet player, Becca, played a fundraiser with you and John at a place called Win Win,
I do not.
11th and Spring Garden. It's a great place. They do it's like a bar, cafe, but they also do a lot of awesome like art, music events. It was a fundraiser and Standing Rock. Yep. And I heard them play, and I was just like, "This is awesome. If you ever need a trumpet player, let me know." And that was I think that was the story, right?
And I also went to see you when you did Going There.
Right. So I did like a weird sort of like performance piece with a bunch of different mediums involved about 2 years ago called Going There, and Jimena was there. So I guess we kind of like crossed paths a couple times, and yeah, I really love the music, and the rest is history.
So I'm glad to hear that. But my question here is, yeah, what drew you guys to play in such a niche type band? I mean, this isn't something that's like, oh, yeah, we're totally gonna fucking open up for Suicidal Tendencies this weekend. You know what I mean? It's just not that. It's super niche. So my question is, what attracted you guys to be like, this is dope. This is something I want to be a part of.
I mean, for me, I think like the power of the music, the power of Jimena's voice, the lyrics. I mean, I also speak Spanish, so that was kind of like I was drawn to.
Son Latino también?
No.
Okay. I don't know. You never know.
No,
They get pretty white there in Mexico,
No, medio judío, medio europeo.
Okay. All right. Cool.
But yeah, I don't know. I think I was just really drawn to the power, the vibe, just kind of like the feeling, and I still am.
That's awesome, man.
Well, I mean, I wasn't really drawn to anything in particular because I didn't even know what it was. So, I literally, it was like this dude asking me to do something that I never met. So I mean, I wanted to do it though because I like meeting people. And then when we actually did do something, we did like an original song, and we did like a Bach piece for the first gig or something, and we did it at the Trocadero. Where is that? Where's
You guys played the Troc your first time?
the upstairs
Okay.
part? But like it was fun and everything, and Jimena seemed like she had a lot of friends who came out and supported. So yeah. It always seems like Jimena has. I don't really get it. Jimena just has a shit ton of friends. Like it's like really weird. She's like, I don't know, but. And I liked the music, and then when we came back, she had a bunch of new songs, and there were new people, and it was cool, and I liked it, so I'm still here.
Very cool.
I guess I was the second member of the band. So for me at the time, it's really just like something fun. You know what I mean? That's usually kind of like my MO. This is gonna be fun, and check one. Okay, good. So. I get to play music that is fun. It's rhythmically like very interesting and dynamic. So, as a drummer, having a good time, music's positive. That's all I care about. So,
That's awesome. Jimena, have you always lived in Philly?
I mean, I lived in Mexico till I was like 7, and then I moved to like a suburb of Philly. So in the area for a while.
Okay. I was just going to ask you if it was difficult to find your place here in Philly, because I know for me, like when I first got here, it was like, it was hard for me to find like that Mexican community. Like it
Mhm.
was like, you know, that they're in South Philly, but that's like for real legit, like first generation.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
pretty new community.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like it was difficult for me as like a Latino to like find my place. Like you have like a lot of Boricuas and that's awesome, but there's still a piece of you that kind of misses home. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
totally. Yeah.
so did you have any difficulty, or did you just you say they say you got a lot of friends, so it seems like you just kind of came in and like made your world.
I mean, I think both of those are true, you know? I think I've been really fortunate to find a strong community of Latinos here in Philly. But that hasn't always been the case, you know. Out in the suburbs, I was out in a predominantly white suburb. So I think there were, for a long time, and like I said, studying music and stuff, it's not really stuff that, you know, anything outside of Europe and the US isn't really ever talked about. So I think for a very long time I kind of had to like push out certain parts of myself. And also, like, you know, there's lots of ways that happens, you know, like also growing up queer and like very, you know, you grow up like closeted and stuff like that. So I think there were lots of ways in which I kind of like had to set aside parts of who I was. And then moving to Philly after graduating and realizing that no, like I want to be able to like explore all of my identities and like live that fully as much as I can, you know. But I think it's still a struggle, you know, in Philly, you know, making music in Spanish, there's not many groups that do that. So yeah, I think it's still a struggle of like trying to find that, like you say, it's kind of niche, and I think in some ways it is, and in some ways it's not, because it connects to so many other things, you know, like you've heard from all the other musicians, like, and if we were to name like all of the different musics that we come from and all the musics that we connect to, I think it's like it's endless. There's a lot. So I think that kind of in some ways it connects to everything, and in some ways it's isolated.
Okay, so I have another question that's not music related, and I do not mean to exclude you guys on this, but did you where you're from? Do you guys have chile rellenos? Like, yeah, hell yeah, chile rellenos.
Yeah, I just made some last week.
Hell yeah, dude. So where do you get the chilies from?
From the supermarket down the street.
Really? The
Yes,
long
Supremo
fat
has
ones?
them. Yeah.
The long fat ones. So
I live out in West Philly, and Supremo is this like grocery store that's owned by this Latino guy. So they have a lot of like really random like Latino things. It's really great.
so we've been having them. My mom will ship them from New Mexico. Like I'm from El Paso,
Oh,
so we
wow.
get Hatch, New Mexico chilies, and she ships them out.
I mean, they're probably like better quality or something,
Yeah.
but you can find them out here. Yeah.
That's awesome. It's just one of the things that I missed, and so it's like
Yeah,
it's like
totally.
one of the
Yeah.
first things. What about playing shows? Is it difficult for you guys to find a bill to get on? Because you said there's not that many Spanish like.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't say that, because there's probably a whole subset that I haven't gotten into, because I know that there's a lot of Puerto Rican bands and Puerto Rican jam bands that go on and do things. But is it difficult? Has it been difficult finding gigs or finding something to jump on? And how have you navigated that?
I think people in general, I don't know how you guys feel on it, but I feel people in general are like very receptive to this. You know, we've played, like for example, that first gig we did, we opened for this cumbia group from LA that's called Viento Callejero. And so there was mostly a Latino audience. So we've played some spaces like that, but then like the one we did here at the Fire, 2 weeks ago, when was it? It was like
That
recently.
was the night of the eclipse, right?
Yeah, it was like the day after that. Yeah, that was all bands from the U.S. You know, and mostly black musicians too. And I think that space was like was really great. You know, I think people were like super receptive, and it was really cool because there were a lot of things that we shared in common with the other musicians, just like rhythms wise and like messaging wise. I think there was a lot of resonance that night, you know, and that was really wonderful to be a part of. So yeah, we've been in lots of different spaces, and I think there's still more that we can kind of branch out to.
That's awesome. And so when I was listening to your music, I noticed a jazz type influence in there. Who brought that in? Where does that come from? This
Who's the culprit here? Who wants to be responsible?
somebody's pointing fingers, so I know that it exists. I know I'm not a crazy person.
Well, I met John at a jazz club, so I don't know. I like jazz. Do you like jazz, Marty? Yeah. Marty likes jazz. St. Clair likes jazz. Becca likes jazz. I think John likes jazz. I think Jimena likes jazz. We all like jazz. So for me, I was going like when I said I went to school for trombone, I was going to school for jazz trombone anyways. So when we're playing tunes, it's only natural to want to like take a solo somewhere, put in some chordal thing, open it up a little bit, make it a little bit more spacey. I guess that's. I think the jazz influence just probably came from like the fact that half the band is jazz oriented, right?
So, do you when you go on the cruise ship to work, are you a musician there?
Yeah, I was playing trombone.
No shit. So you are a cruise musician?
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Why do you say yeah like that? That sounds like it would be an awesome gig.
It's a pretty cool gig. It's a pretty good gig. Yeah.
So like when you guys port off, do you get to go and like check that shit out?
Yeah, we were in Australia, so we went to some islands in the South Pacific, some like Numia, Vanuatu and Fiji and stuff like that. So.
Have you ever thought about like busking? Like just when you get to like
there?
dock, yeah, like just busking, like at whatever place that
well,
it's
none of
at.
the people on those islands have any money, so. Yeah, but in Australia, we were in Sydney and Brisbane and stuff like that, and Perth. Like it would have been okay to do that, but I didn't want to. I wanted to just see the spaces. We were across the world. I didn't want to play trombone when I could be, getting shrimp on the barbie or something like that.
That's such a wild like. So how does one even become a cruise musician? Like,
if people ask me that so much, and it's like, you how do you do anything nowadays? You Google it, and then
jazz musician on cruise ship.
Seriously. I went to Google. I went to Google and I typed in cruise ship musician job. And it had like 10 agencies that usually you just send them a video of you playing, and if they think you're okay, they'll send you to cruise companies.
Fucking good enough.
Yeah, exactly. And then they'll be like, okay, you live on the ship now.
And so how long out of the year do you do that?
5 months. I left in April. I came back in September.
What?
So yeah, and that was like last year. So it was like nice.
What? So does that 5 months help you pay for the other 7 that you're not working?
Yeah, because you don't have to spend any money while you're there. Because you get housed and you get fed. It doesn't pay for like the other 7 months, but like you save up money. And I don't want to work on a cruise ship for the rest of my life. The reason I did that was to try it, and it ended up being a pretty cool thing.
So are you doing it again?
Maybe. We'll see. It depends, because like I'm still on their list, on their databases and stuff like that. So if there's one that they're like, oh, we need a trombone player for this cruise that's going from Venice to Egypt or something, and I'm just like,
Venice to Egypt.
I'm just
why the fuck not?
I know.
Go ahead.
They do it, and I'm just like, well, maybe not Egypt, isn't it in the desert, but but something like that, and I'll just be like, yeah, I'll go to Europe or Asia to do a cruise and get paid again.
What the hell? This is foreign to me. This is like the first time that I've never. I don't know why I just never anticipated a cruise ship having that. What is the daily life like?
Well, as a musician, I didn't do jack shit. I'll be honest. There was people on a cruise ship. It's like a hotel. So you have people. There are people that clean. People do dishes. People are entertaining. People are calling people for some reason. People are like a receptionist. People are designers. I don't know, making clothes. People are working in the shops. But me, I wake up, I eat breakfast. I take a nap, watch a movie, play some video games. Then I work from for 2 or 3 hours, and then I go to the bar.
And they pay you like an 8-hour shift, or like
I made like $90 a day, so it was like, yeah,
7 days a week.
yeah.
What?
Yeah. So I did, and yeah, I didn't do anything. Like I already went to school for trombone. Like the music's not like challenging. It's just for old Australians. I played Neil Diamond all summer. You know, it was like, yeah.
So you guys didn't have like rehearsals or?
We rehearsed for like 30 minutes, but everybody there knows all the music. You know, a cruise is only 2 weeks long, max. So you're doing the same stuff over and over again. Why rehearse stuff? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I just eat. I gained like a lot of weight on the ship. It was like I just ate so much food.
I heard, dude. I heard that cruise people are crazy. Like they are like crazy people. They will line up to the trough and just keep.
Oh
stuffing it in.
yeah. And you should call it the trough too, because
Oh really?
pigs.
Dude,
Yeah.
I hear it's wild, man.
It was cool.
Dude, you guys have such an interesting story with such like a huge freaking like diverse background, and it all comes together to make this like crazy magical music that is like, I don't know, it's so, you don't even have to speak Spanish to be like touched by like what you hear on your sounds. You know,
I'll second that because I don't speak Spanish.
Oh really? I have no idea what's going on, but this is great.
I like the music a lot. It's really good. You better keep it up.
Yeah. Do you speak Spanish?
I do not speak Spanish, actually. No,
Okay, and
I only speak English.
so the question is, how did you end up? What ended up getting you to speak Spanish? Where did that come from?
Let's see. Yeah, memorize the songs.
Watch novelas.
Exactly.
Pablo Escobar, all seasons.
Narcos. Yeah. No, I mean I studied it in school. I studied abroad in college. I did a semester in Madrid and one in Chile. And I've been fortunate enough to like travel a bunch, and as a kid I traveled with my folks, and they were always really kind of adamant about me learning another language. So I got some things under my belt early, and then was able to flush it out kind of later in life. Spent some time like really kind of immersed. I played on a semi-pro roller hockey team in Spain while I was there, which was crazy. I just figured that might be an interesting
That is
tidbit.
crazy interesting, dude. Are you being serious? Are you trolling me?
100% serious.
All right.
You couldn't make that up.
I don't know. It almost sounds fake. I want to Google that right now.
I know.
So,
It's true.
so all right. So then were you familiar with the music? I mean, you clearly going to be familiar with Latino culture with the travels that you've had. Were you familiar with the
Not
music?
son jarocho, no.
Okay.
Not at all, really. Yeah, I've played in a couple salsa bands in North Philly, but that's like mostly Puerto Rican folks, and so yeah, this was totally different for me.
Wow, so this was new and you just heard it and you were like, I vibe with this, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump in on this.
Yeah.
It's cool because it seems like you have this is an odd thing to say, but like you have like the connection to the culture just through your travels, just being like well traveled. You're like, oh, this is familiar to me, and so like you may have not been familiar with that brand of music, but you were familiar with everything else that went with it, and so it seems like it was almost attracted to it. Like
I think so. Yeah, I think it was. I mean, certainly something like where there was like, it wasn't familiar to me, but like you said, it was kind of like there was some aspects that I was drawn to.
That's crazy. So what do you think your favorite part about being in this band is? And that's a question for everybody. I want to spread that question all the way through.
I mean, I love the well, there's so many things. I mean, I think like the
You'll have to hold it closer. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the tone of the music is just like a lot of power in it, I feel like, and
For sure.
I get to stretch out as a horn player and like, express myself and play in an awesome section with two other awesome horn players, and we get to write together and play harmonies together, and so I love doing that. And it's really the content is something that I am drawn to and like have a lot of relate to in a lot of ways, as far as like just being about, you know, liberation and learning and life, you know, the realness of life, I would say. And just the way that all comes together is super just awesome.
Are you a part of any other projects?
A bunch, yeah. I play in a live hip hop group called Hard Work Movement, which is like a giant 9-piece band that Becca, the other trumpet player, is also in. And then I do some stuff with John, some trip hop stuff. I do some jazz stuff, like smaller combos, and some like kind of more experimental music, weird stuff. And
Is your full-time job musician?
no, I do like half and half. I do writing for this wine website on my full-time or half-time.
You guys all have super tough gigs. We got a dude that cruises around the country and a dude that writes about wine.
It sucks.
Why?
I'm just kidding. No, it's fine. I wasn't drawn to wine as that wasn't the reason that I got into it. I was like an English major as well as a Spanish major, so like good writing skills, and started out doing mostly like editing stuff for this website, and then eventually learned a lot about wine, and kind of moved over to like writing, kind of like marketing, copywriting stuff. And that's what keeps me mostly afloat.
Yeah, I would hate to be a copywriter, I won't lie. But
It's exhausting.
Whenever I think about wine, I always think of a dude named Gary Vaynerchuk.
Huh.
And that dude's fucking motivational as fuck, from Jersey. Did a wine store. His dad had a wine store, and he like turned like a store that was 2 million into 6 million in sales, and was like one of the first YouTubers, and fucking now has his own fucking shoes. And yeah, check him out, dude. Like if you ever like feeling like shit, like, oh, this sucks, fucking check out Gary V for about half an hour, and you're gonna be like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna do whatever I want. It's
Nice.
pretty awesome. It fucking amps me up every time, at least. But your favorite part of the band, favorite part of this band, yeah.
I actually want to talk to Marty about wine later. 'Cause I used to work at a wine store. I mean, I didn't know you were a wine runner. I just like wine stuff.
This interview is bringing out so many things that you did not know about each other.
You know,
just
I
wanna
didn't
put
know
this out there.
anything about anybody in this band.
You don't talk to anybody.
I actually don't talk to anybody. I'm actually really serious. That was actually part of what I was gonna say. Is that like being in this band makes me talk to at least a couple people on a semi-weekly basis, because otherwise, like, I mean, like, it's not that I am antisocial. So it's not like I don't talk to people and like don't go out and stuff like that, you know. But like all my friends are like in New York and stuff. I don't really have like a group of friends or anything. It's nice to see people on a regular basis and like hang out and chat and stuff. So, yeah.
My favorite part about the band is being able to socialize with other human beings. Awesome.
Yeah, I know.
like that.
It's pretty basic, but it's cool. And like then yeah, and the music's great. And I like seeing people's houses, because Jimena has us playing in people's houses. So it's actually a thing. I've always liked seeing like the inside of where people live. You know, in New York, seeing people's apartments. Like when I was in high school, going to like friends' houses, and they'd be like, that's where you live. Yeah, you live here. Cool.
Totally not creepy. Don't speak to anybody. Love seeing the inside of your house. Not creepy at all, dude.
You know what? I don't go into that many people's houses, so I try to be as little creepy as possible. Yeah, I know it sounds super weird, you know, and I do. You know what? I'm gonna give the mic to John.
No way, dude. I want your number, dude. We're gonna hang out and like play video games and do crazy shit.
That's why I don't have friends, because I play video games. And
dude,
I
what's your
play
gamer
music.
tag?
Riny Roo.
Spell it out. We're gonna
RHINYRHOUX.
awesome. The 32 people that hear this, fucking
Riny Roo. Yeah. Okay.
Wait, are you a part of any other projects?
Well, I play in salsa bands. And I play in 2 salsa bands now. One more recently. And then one I've been playing with for like 2 years. Mostly that. I play with a girl named Chelsea Reed a lot. She's a jazz singer, and I play jazz. You know, I play I play gigs here and there. Really, I want to start my own projects and stuff like that, but I play too many video games, so I
Got
haven't
you.
started yet.
You should start messaging everybody on PS3. Hey, do you play music?
You play music? You want to play this project? Or I'll just look on the train or something.
There you go.
You should play video game trombone.
I did.
Oh, really?
I can talk about it.
What happens at the arcade stays at the arcade.
Yeah. Favorite part of the band. Favorite part about this band.
Yeah, actually, it's interesting because now that listening to these two gentlemen, had some time to formulate my thought on it, so I feel pretty well prepared to answer this. So I just think everyone has. I think every artist, whatever your medium is, from sculpture to music to visual art or photography, was actually what I was trained in. I was actually trained in photography, but now play music full time. But I think everyone has like a vision or whatever drives them. You know what I mean? To make art. And for me, my influences aren't changing, but what changes is then the people you're surrounded with in doing that cooperatively. So for me, it's like an opportunity to get my ideas onto a different palette and like a different kind of landscape of influences and audience. And also like when it's combined with everyone I'm surrounded with here, it puts what I'm doing in a different context, which I like. So, when I'm in that kind of bleeds into your other question, the other bands I'm in, I play in other projects that range from I would try and say in general, like I'm influenced by jazz, so there's stuff that I do that's very, very jazzy and very traditional sounding. Jazz fusion, incorporating a lot of different modern elements. I do R&B projects, soul projects, singer-songwriter projects, indie rock projects, I try and keep my hands in as many pots as possible. So, but basically this project allows me to kind of put my influences of dance music and kind of club-oriented, for lack of a better word, music, and mix that with world music, rock, jam rock specifically, and jazz into my own kind of stew. And then I can kind of just mix that in with what Jimena does. And also, even within Jimena's project, there's times where we're playing in more low-key settings, which are more percussive and more traditional sounding, which I think you said you heard the single that we did. Yeah, so that would be more from my perception, it's more like on the traditional side, even though it's not completely traditional, but in the scope of the project, it's more the like earthy traditional stuff. And then we have the more modern rock-infused stuff, which I get to do a whole other set of influences, because I was even playing percussion for like 5 years before I even started playing drum sets. So when I get to do the traditional sounding stuff, that's just as fun. Getting me in touch with my first instrument. So,
are you a full-time musician?
Yes, I am a full-time musician.
Fuck yeah, dude! Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'd like to thank my landlord too for giving me cheap rent.
Right. So, we
shout out to HAS. No,
so one of the questions that I always have, and is for whenever I interview pretty much anybody, is like, what do you want to do? Well, I'd love to be a musician full time, and you've made that happen. How have you made that happen? How is that?
It's interesting. I think number one, like literally, I couldn't do this without the help of my landlord, who are amazing people. They're very kind. I've been renting for them for a long time, and they were able and kind enough to put me in a situation where I could have very low expenses, and which is literally the number one thing. Musician isn't necessarily the highest income bracket for a long time until you get to a certain point. And between that and just kind of trying to be as aggressive as possible with trying to play in as many projects as possible and, being slightly economical in what I spend my money on, it's able to work. But, it's not a perfect science, but it usually works 89% of the time.
Yeah, so that brings up another interesting question about, like, fuck, man, getting paid for gigs. And some of these fuckers don't want to pony up.
Yeah, that's true.
So, go ahead.
Nope, that was all. That's all. I just said nope. You're right.
So how do you deal with that, or how do you make sure that you're getting paid for your work? Because if you're doing this full time, that means if you don't get paid, you're not eating. You might have a place to live because your landlord's cool,
yeah.
but How do you make that work? How do you make the financial side work?
Honestly, I mean, I wish I had a simple answer for that, but there is no real like simple answer. Just because I think it's just, I mean, there's a lot of times that people get, I guess I can say this: people get screwed over. It's pretty common. So there's times that it isn't a perfect science, and times I might have to pick up extra work here and there doing random things. But for the most part, I feel like it's able to make it work just by keeping my hands in so many different pots that I can, if something bad happens in like one and I don't get a gig here, that maybe just it always works out by luck, honestly. Like, oh, it just happened to get a gig, like, and it just happened. Everything, I mean, to be cliche, but things, do usually come together somehow or another without me having to be like pissed off or something. So to make it work. So
I can't see you pissed off. You just seem like a happy-go-lucky, the universe, everything comes to me kind of guy. So
I try to keep it pretty copacetic.
Very cool.
I try.
Awesome, man. Your favorite part of the band? What's your favorite part about being in this band?
Yeah. So I think for me, it's kind of like most of the songs, at least up to now, it might. I think it's like starting to shift maybe, but especially with having our new horn section, right, which is kind of a kind of newer element in this band. But up until now, like I've been like writing, most of the songs, like the outlines, right, the shells of them, the lyrics, the chords, and for me it's great. Like we talk about there is that element of son jarocho, but then there is that element like jazz element, rock element, right? All these different things. For me, I just love seeing it all like come to life. If I were just writing these songs by myself and just playing them by myself, it would be so boring. It would have none of the life that they do now. For me, it's been absolutely amazing just to be able to like form a group, to be in community with people, like St. Clair was saying, I think a little jokingly, but I think there is a lot of truth of like, this is also a social space. This is a space where we are coming together. We're feeding off of each other's ideas, off of each other's energies. And I think that comes out in the music. And for me, that's my favorite thing, is seeing that all come together and come to life and shift. We've had different musicians be a part of this project in its 2+ years. So seeing that all like shift according to who's in it and how they lend their voice and just give it new life. So yeah, and then to answer your other question of the other projects I'm in, this is what I'm mostly focusing on right now. But again, like we're all kind of doing the freelance musician thing. So, whatever gig comes up that pays is, I'm there. Like I said, I'm also a violinist, so sometimes I'll do violin gigs. I'm doing one next week in New York, with this like kind of this educational group that we go into like schools and talk about Mexican musics, just whatever comes up, and I think that also helps that we're all in so many different musics we're constantly playing, even if it's not specifically with this group. And I think that comes out too, that we're also constantly evolving as musicians individually. And I definitely feel that for myself. I think I'm becoming a stronger musician every day.
Now, what I want to touch on really quick is, I know that your lyrics they're politically charged. They deal with a lot of social issues. There may be some people that hear your music and may not understand the lyrics. What are some of the themes in your music? What are some of the things that you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's interesting because one thing is like the exact lyrics, right? But as we've said, right, also people latch on to just like the general feel of the things and the kind of the energy behind it. So I think it also goes beyond the words, right? And the feel of it and all that is something that we create together. And I think a lot of them touch on, like what we said, being a migrant and like trying to find your place, and that has to do with maybe nationality, but also with other parts of identity, trying to figure out where you're going. I think some of them are also more, for example, our song El Camino is more taking a positive look at that, taking a positive look at how we are all different and we're all walking different paths, but we can also come together and walk together, and that strengthens us as individuals and as a community. So I think trying to, in general, trying to keep it positive, looking at all of the possibilities that we have and all of the power that we do have in coming together and celebrating our differences and celebrating who we are.
That's awesome. So is there anything else that anybody else would like to add that maybe I didn't cover or didn't think about or didn't discuss or anything at all?
In addition to having cheap rent, I also want to say that living in West Philly is great because I'm also vegan. So there's these fruit carts that are really awesome and it just cost nothing to eat. And it's just amazing. Being a vegan in West Philly is one of the most affordable things you can do. So I just wanted to add that in there.
Right.
For anyone that's thinking about, can I afford to be a vegan in West Philly? You can. There's plenty. It's very affordable.
That's something I couldn't do just because I'm also from Texas and I love meat. But that's good to know. People want to find out more about you guys. Where do they do that? How do they make that happen?
We were going to start adding a little ending to one of our songs, just whispering our website at the end of it. Yeah, our website is our name, interminable or interminable, music.com. And there you can find videos, you can find a bunch of stuff. I think that you said that's where you heard our single, articles that have come out and everything. We're also on Facebook, on Instagram. So yeah, just whatever. And we also just uploaded our single. Our single's now available on all major streaming platforms. So, if you want to listen on Spotify, Tidal, whatever, we're also on that.
Awesome. Dude, thank you all for coming out here. I know this was difficult to organize. We all had different schedules, and you guys had to, navigate several different people's schedules to make this happen. And I know you guys aren't playing the Fire tonight, but thank you very much for coming out and meeting me to make this happen, because this was a really cool interview. Do you guys have any shows coming up that you would like to promote? This is probably going to come out not next week, but the week after. So do you have anything around that area in February, March?
Right now, I don't think we have anything specific planned. Right now, we're actually mostly focusing on recording our first album. So we're mostly doing kind of some behind the scenes work that we'll then be able to share more widely. So if people are interested in hearing more, definitely check us out online. We post information on our shows there, and we'll be posting updates on the album too. So we're very excited to be able to share that soon.
So I also didn't want you guys to have to bring everything out here for nothing. You guys are saying that you might want to play a song here. I also don't know how great the audio will come out on it, but if it's something that you guys would want to do, then I'd be more than happy to have you all do that. All right, can't promise the quality though. All right, that's just me. Being honest. So I don't know how you guys want to do it. If you want to use this mic, and then I'll just keep this mic on here, and then you guys can play it, or
we could try. Maybe we can do a little break and then come back to it, like warm up a little bit.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
So we'll leave you guys out with a song from them, and reach out to them. Check out the show, man. It's good shit. And thank you guys. Really seriously mean that. Thank you guys for doing this. All right.
So this is a tune called El Agua, or Water, talking about the lessons that we can learn from water.